I'm reading a book right now called The Wisdom of the Myths by Luke Ferry, and it's really way more interesting than I thought it would be. I haven't even gotten to the myths yet, but in the first part of the book, he's talking about the overall meaning of the myths, what they're trying to say, what wisdom they are trying to convey. And it's really interesting because he said, basically the myths are trying to help human beings deal with the really one profound fundamental thing that we all have to deal with, which is the knowledge that we're going to die. And he said that the normal, usual way of dealing with that, there's two ways that we normally deal with it. One is to try to become immortal. If you do something heroic enough, people will tell your story for generations after you're dead. And if you're amazing enough, like Achilles, they tell your story for thousands of years after you're dead. So you can become immortal and in a way cheat death by doing something so amazing, people write about it and talk about it forever. And another way to become immortal or to deal with death, the fact that you're going to die, the horror and existential dread of the fact that knowing that you're going to die, is through your progeny, is through your children, is to create a lineage that lives on after you die. He said those are the normal ways people deal with this. But the myths are trying to teach you a third way. And the third way is to align yourself to basically to find your place in the world, your unique place in the world, to find your original path, the thing that you're most suited for and that the world you live in is most needing, or not necessarily needing, but how you fit into the real world the best, to find your unique path and purpose. And it's different for every person. And when you find it, you find contentment, even though you know that you're going to die. The reason that this finding your way, finding your place in the world is a good replacement for other ways of immortality, like having children and descendants and having, doing something heroic that people will tell stories about, it is another way to become infinite, because you're becoming part of the whole. You're becoming part of the cosmos. You're finding your place within the cosmos. You're participating as a part of the cosmos, and therefore you become infinite. At least according to Greek mythology, the universe may not actually be infinite. There may be multiple universes, in other words, and stuff like that. But just for, this is in a way kind of like Taoism, where you're following the Tao, you're becoming part of the flow of the universe, and in such a way that you sort of maybe not lose your identity, but you merge into a bigger identity, the whole thing. You become part of the whole thing. And so in that way, you become immortal, if you can think of the universe as immortal. So what is your place in the world? When we come back, I will tell you how I found my place. And now, a word from our sponsor. This episode is sponsored by Anchor, which is a platform that allows you to make podcasts, and it's what I'm using right now. It's really easy to use. It's free. It's got editing tools. They help you distribute the podcast for you, so it can be heard on Spotify and Apple Podcasts and so on. And they make it easy to make money on your podcast by making it possible for you to add ads. You can download the Anchor app for free, or go to anchor.fm to get started. I found my place in the world by watching the movie The Rise of the Guardians. It's a Christmas movie, and it's just about, there's this one scene where Santa Claus is talking to Jack Frost, and he's saying, what is your center? I thought that's a good question. What is your center? He was just talking about what is the kind of like the core value of you that represents you. What is something that is central to you? And I had been playing with this idea for a long time, but somehow that movie just really got me thinking about it. So I was thinking about that, and I was trying to, I had already discovered that everybody has a superpower. But for the most part, we don't think of our superpower as a superpower because to us, it's completely ordinary. And that was true for me. My superpower, I was thinking, my center is that I love to read nonfiction. That's my superpower. Not everybody likes to do that. And I've always been really good at reading. My comprehension has always been really high. I just really enjoy doing it. And for some people, they have to make themselves do it. For me, I just follow my interests and I do it for fun. And I've actually tried to not do that in the past. I've considered it an indulgence. It costs money to buy books. I have better things to do with my time, etc., etc. And I think a lot of people do that with their superpower. They don't they value it so little because it's so ordinary to them that they don't even recognize it as a good thing even. But so it really helped me actually to come to the place where I'm making podcasts and realize this is what I really like to do. I like to learn things and I like to share them with other people. And I've always done that since I was a kid. I've always done that and I always enjoyed doing it and actually used to not like that part of myself. And you didn't used to like it that I was like that. I wish I would had done other things. I remember Ralph Waldo Emerson writing that the talent is the call. What are you called to do in this world? One way you can look at that is what are you naturally good at? What do you naturally do? What are you naturally interested in? What pulls you? You can follow that thread and find your place in the world because whatever it is that pulls you, probably there's a need for it in this world or there's a desire for it in this world. You can provide something that other people can't because of your unique drives and inclinations and predilections and interests. I sometimes get interested in a subject because somebody I know has a problem. So I dive into the subject, and many times I've learned something that helped them. It's really fun for me. And then I know that for the rest of my life, or I can make a podcast about it and teach other people. Now, to you, someone who's listening to a podcast, it may be obvious that somebody that knows something and likes to share it has a talent or has something valuable in the world. But it wasn't always obvious. And I've actually been criticized for it before because I sometimes that's all I want to do is share what I'm learning, learn stuff and share what I'm learning. But there's a place for it in this world, and making podcasts is one of those places. Now, what about you? What are you really interested in? What special talent do you have that other people don't have, that you might even not consider to be anything special? Something that you just naturally do. There's a place for you with that talent in this world. And finding your place can really give you contentment. That's the lesson of Greek mythology. Think about it. This is Adam Lee Kahn on The Atom Bomb.